About time for another Coach Life. I was coming to school today, and there was those sanitation trucks, you know, the ones with like the big sweeper things that sweep up the street sweepers. And it was on Park coming down, and I was like, okay, let me cross the street so I don't have to deal with New York City dust, gum. And then I crossed Park, but then it turned on 22nd, and I was like, ah, man. So I dapped Amir, and he was like, one more. I was like, I'm late. He's like, one more day left. You know, Eid is tomorrow, so Ramadan ends, and so we both got one more day. So I was like, yo. So I'm walking fast. I'm not running yet, but the street sweeper turned down Park, and I'm like, yo. This is crazy. So I was like, let me cross the street. I was trying to see which side of the street it was sweeping to cross, because it was cars on both sides. I was like, damn, I can't even tell. But it started honking its horn on the left-hand side. So I was like, okay, I'm over here. It's over there. So I was about to cross, but I was like, nope, good. I'm going to stay over here. Then it came over here, but it was like, it didn't catch up to me. So I was like, okay, should I cross? I was like, all right, I'm about to cross. But then it started to speed. I was like, all right, let me cross. So I crossed over, and then it started to speed up. So I started to jog. And then one of the teachers was at the door. She looked back, looked at me, and I still had like 40, 50 yards. And she was like, she held the door for me. She was like, yo, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I was running from that. And then she saw it finally come by, and she was like, oh, it's like it was chasing you or something, huh? I was like, yeah, it was on Park, and then it came on 22nd. So I also had a dream the night before of a mothership landing, and I was like hooping barefoot, but I had the Ramadan bunnies. So I was like I jumped too high to dunk it type of thing. And so, but then when I saw the mothership, I was like, I ran down through the woods. Ran through like, it was like city after the bottom of the hill. I was cutting through the restaurant, but I recognized that my energy of running was like a frequency, like the fear frequency, and that's how it was tracking me. But it wasn't really nothing tracking me. I was just afraid. So it felt like it was tracking me. So it had a little resonance there. Has nothing to do with the Coach Life today, and it's already about 3 minutes. But I figured I'd open up with a story just to ground everyone. I was listening to an audiobook last night. It was around 3 o'clock, 3:03 a.m. I woke up to try to eat something, definitely drink some water before, fasting again. And it was called The Destruction of Black Civilization. Something like that, but a historical narrative about Black momentum, Black civilization. By Black, the author, forgive me, I don't remember his name, but I'll link back in with you because it was phenomenal. It was my first time. I knew I needed to listen to it because I've seen it a bunch of times, but I finally listened. And wow, my mind is blown. There was so many synchronicities and so much resonance from what I was teaching, or what I've been taught about Black history, Black civilization. There was a democratic rule in Africa, in widespread Africa. So not just northern Kemet and Egypt and Kushite, Kush and Timbuktu and all of that, but all over Sub-Saharan, everywhere, where even the kings had to get some places it was a 3-person council, and they would have to be from not just in the inner circle, but they purposefully would have to come from rural areas and stuff like that. Well before Rome, well before social whatever, or the word democracy even. And when colonization happened and transatlantic slave trade and all of that, the traditional king was replaced slyly with the other king, other types of kings. There was one sentence that I came up with that I wanted to share, which is the point of this whole coach life. The sentence was, I stepped outside at one point and it just came to me after listening to this audiobook. So it's inspired by this book. The American obsession, and so I can strike American and say the colonizer obsession with war, or the history of war, is perhaps more toxic or violent than war itself. In other words, the fact that we focus our historic lens on war is more violent than war itself, because if we didn't have such a dialogue, do you think people today, 2023, would think war is necessary even? That's why the whole Ukraine thing felt so weird to everyone coming out of the pandemic, because it was like, is war even, like, do people even do that? Like, why? What's the point? You know, your kids kill our kids, and then you get land or I get land, but then we still have to recover. So, like, you got a head start, but you're gonna feel horrible anyways, so what's the point? It's like a simple thing. Damn, I just broke that down. So that's the coach life. I don't know what to call it. Oh, let's call it war, just to, jeez. I'll think of a title. I wanted to stay 7 minutes, so ciao.